I can no longer find my temple in this chaos of rock. It has disappeared, swallowed up by your waters.
No, it has been saved. Look. And you who hear my voice, you who have come from the four corners of the earth to admire Egypt's treasure, which a French sailor once called the Pearl of Egypt. Come, you too may enter the temple of Isis, the immortal goddess.
In the pharaonic era, Aswan was the capital of the first region of Upper Egypt, as it lies at the end of the Nile Valley. It was a cultural passroad linking Egypt with Africa, a castle on the borders safeguarding the southern gate of Egypt. It was known as Suwan, meaning the market. Later the Arabs added letter A to become Aswan. Modern Aswan occupies the same place of the old one by the eastern bank of the Nile. It's a city that boasts of its historical heritage and honorable past and looks forward to a prosperous future, especially after building the high dam. The region of the first cataract, marked by its gigantic granite rocks in the middle of the stream, sets the borders of ancient Aswan and forms the beginning of the Nubian land that extends from the first cataract in Aswan to the fourth one in Sudan. The ancient capital of Aswan province was Elephantine Island. It was of strategic importance, being the starting point of the great caravan route to Nubia, along which passed the commercial and military expeditions of the ancient Egyptians. It was called Abu, which means elephant in the ancient Egyptian language, perhaps because the ivory trade took place here, or because the rocks in the river, worn smooth by the water, were thought to resemble the backs of a herd of elephants. During the Greek period, the name was restricted to the island and town of Elephantine. 4,000 years ago, the governors of Aswan ruled from here, the southern part of the island. Today, 2 Nubian villages occupy that area. Throughout the ancient Egyptian history, a period which extended to 3,000 years, many kings inscribed their names on the rocks to confirm their occupation of these remote borders of Egypt. Some of these inscriptions are considered the most important historical documents that are left from the Old Kingdom. At the sandy hills of the West Bank, behind which the sun dies every sunset, the governors chose to cut their tombs in the rocks overlooking the East Bank. The ancient staircase consists of 2 parallel flights of steps, separated by a ramp up where the sarcophagi were drawn, and leads to the tombs which are colored inside. The monuments of Aswan stood proud in their location until 1902, when Aswan Reservoir was built to protect Egypt from the annual destructive flood of the Nile. The rising water began to overflow the monuments behind the reservoir most of the year. They were flooded and hensely damaged. They were the temples of Isis, which are called Philae. Matters went on in the same manner till the high dam was erected in 1970. As Philae lay between the old and new dams, there was a fear of a daily increase or decrease of water level between 102 to 110 meters to generate electricity from the dam. This was a real threat to the rocks of the temples. The continual change in the water level damaged the temples, and besides, they couldn't be visited except by boats. The grey coloring on the lower parts of the rocks shows the effect of their annual immersion over the period between the construction of the two dams. In 1972, an integral project to save the temples was executed by Egyptian and Italian companies. A coffer dam, 812 meters long, surrounded the island of Philae, and the area within this was drained. The temples were dismantled into 40,000 pieces, which were carefully numbered, and were then re-erected on the neighboring island of Angelica, after paving and flattening its surface. In 1980, Isis temples were finally back to life on Angelica, which is similar in size to the original site, Bigay Island, but the 6 meters difference in height will assure an eternal safety to the temples. Philae temples, nearly 14 in number, have been distinguished for their gigantic pylons, attractive reliefs, and abundant religious views on the walls. Hence, scientists consider the temples the richest religious library for the history of Egypt's creed in the late ages. They are surrounded by towering palms and trees, all adding to the rich natural scenery. In Philae, the conflicting tribes of Nubians and Belimes agreed on a peace treaty, and the island became a peaceful gathering place for these tribes.